If I had to describe the LG G6 in one word, that word would be finally. The G5 was just okay. LG definitely went outside the box on that one with the whole modularity thing, and it's nice to see companies trying new things, but this year they're sticking to the essentials, and they finally released a phone in this series that's a force to be reckoned with. Starting off with the hardware and design. It's what we've been looking for quite some time with LG, and it's finally here. We're talking all aluminum and glass complete with chamfered edges, and that glass back, by the way, opens the door for wireless charging, which LG did implement, so thumbs up for that. Weighing in at about 5.8 ounces and measuring in at just under 8 millimeters, the G6 provides the solid and premium feel we've been asking for. Personally, I prefer this ice titanium color, I quite like it. But of course, you could always go for the all black stealth look too. Just know that it's a whole lot easier to see ugly smudges and fingerprints, which can be easily remedied by a case or a skin like the one I have here from dbrand. The black one will also appear to have smaller bezels, and it'll blend in better than any other color. In terms of overall size, it's both shorter and slimmer than the Pixel XL, and it's very similar in size to the S7 Edge, but it's still smaller. What's interesting though is the fact that the G6 has a larger display than both those phones. We're looking at a 5.7-inch IPS display with a resolution of 2880 by 1440, which sounds like an odd resolution, and that's because it is. The screen has been stretched vertically and now has a ratio of 18:9 as opposed to the 16:9 we're all used to. Although this isn't an AMOLED display, it's one of the better IPS screens that I've seen, and it just looks great. This is also the first phone with a screen that's sporting curved corners. It actually looks very nice. It's something different, but it's nice. Plus, it helps with corner drops, adding a tad more ruggedization to the mix. Speaking of ruggedization, the G6 has an IP68 water and dust resistance rating, making it perfect for all-around use, whether you're at the beach, in the rain, or if you're clumsy, it'll withstand spills and that drop in the toilet. Now, taking a look at the back of the phone, we've got the return of the dual camera setup, as well as the power button that doubles as a fingerprint reader. While I still wish LG would stick the power button on the side, they've been doing this for years and I have gotten used to it. And there's always double tap to wake if I ever need to check my notifications. Turning the phone on and you'll be greeted by Android 7.0 with LG's UX 6.0 baked on top. Say what you want about Android skins, but LG's really isn't that bad. It's fairly light, it's quick, it's been cleaned up with only a handful of preloaded apps, and overall it just works. Sure, it may not be the most attractive, but it does have some added bonuses like navigation key customization, the usual quirky yet cool looking lock screen animations, you've got different system themes, there's application scaling, comfort view, which pretty much just turns everything black and white to reduce the blue light emitted from the screen. You can swipe down on the home screen to quickly search something up, and more. LG's UX is easily usable, although I did end up ditching the stock SMS app for Textra and the stock keyboard for Flexi, I will say that. Then of course you've got Android 7.0, complete with double tapping the recent apps button to quickly jump back to your previously used app. You guys know I absolutely love that feature. You've got Google Assistant and of course multitasking. Now this is where you can really put this tall screen to use. The taller screen makes using two apps at once more comfortable. Now with the G6's smaller body and larger display, it makes for an awesome compact media consumption smartphone, but sadly enough it still has a single bottom firing speaker. It does get nice and loud, but it's definitely on the tinny side of things. It doesn't sound horrible, but it definitely gets the job done. Speaking of getting the job done, LG did just that and they didn't remove the headphone jack. Thank you LG, thank you so much. Overall performance is very solid, I must say. Everything I do on any other phone works nearly perfect here on the G6. The Snapdragon 821, 4GB of RAM, and Adreno 530 GPU combination makes for a very quick and smooth user experience overall. While performance isn't completely spotless, I have yet to come across anything that'd be considered a performance issue, and other than the phone getting a little warm while playing games, there's been nothing abnormal whatsoever. And just a quick note, I know some of you might complain about the G6 having the 821 as opposed to the Snapdragon 835, which is the newest chip, but don't sweat it. The 821 is actually a very good chip, and it's nothing to worry about moving forward. But what about the battery performance? Well, the G6 has a 3300 mAh battery, which seems pretty small for a phone with a 5.7-inch screen. In my heavy use, I get about 4, sometimes 4.5 hours of screen on time, which isn't horrible. I've experienced worse, but it's just not what I was expecting. There would be times where I check my phone only to see significantly less than what I normally get on any other phone at a certain point during my day. And it doesn't help that there's always on display with an IPS screen. So the battery life isn't dreadful, but it's not great either. It's passable. Good thing it's got wireless charging and quick charge 3.0 on deck to keep the phone juiced up. Moving on to the cameras, I was reluctant to mention these earlier because frankly, I'm just not that impressed with these cameras. The G6 sports dual 13 megapixel lenses for the primary shooter setup and a front-facing 5 megapixel selfie camera. I will say that shots I've gotten with this camera have looked very nice. Clean color reproduction, solid contrast, and decent sharpness levels. But most of the time, those sharpness levels appear to be a little out of whack. Shots appear over-sharpened or over-processed, leaving me with a shot I'm not too pleased with. Now I understand this is a totally opinionated subject because there are a ton of people that actually love these cameras, and don't get me wrong, I do really like the cameras, especially the wide angle feature. It's great for capturing landscapes and such. I love the camera on the Pixel, and that's the phone that I carry most of the time because of that. But of course, it's the more expensive phone. Still, the G6 has a very solid set of cameras which will please most people. They're just not my favorite. So the question that we're faced with is it enough? The G6 will run you from about $650 to around $700, which is more expensive than phones like the Huawei Mate 9, OnePlus 3T, and many others, but it's less expensive than the Pixel XL, the iPhone 7 Plus, and now the upcoming Galaxy S8. And speaking of the S8, does the G6 have enough to compete with the S8? It'll compete, no doubt, but I feel as always the Galaxy will end up being the crowd favorite. The G6 is definitely making some noise out there in the smartphone market, and I believe it'll deserve more attention. And make sure you subscribe to the channel because I'll be comparing the G6 with the S8 very soon. The G6 is a huge step forward from what we got from LG last year, and it's a phone that I could definitely recommend to buyers. There are a few improvements personally I'd make, but it's not enough to hold the phone back from being worth it. Finally. So what do you guys think of the LG G6? Did LG hit a home run? Are you picking one up? And if not, let us know why down below in the comments. We'd love to hear your feedback. But other than that, that does it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to hit that like button. Subscribe to the Android Police channel if you haven't already. That does it for me. I'll talk to you guys later, and thank you so much for watching.